Hello everybody, my name is Auriga and I'm doing a review on the free-to-play game War Thunder. So I wanted to start this review with the tutorial and the key mapping. I think that even though you might be an experienced player when it comes to aerial battles, I think you will need to sit down and play the tutorials because the steering in this game, at least in my experience, is not easy compared to other games where you fly in planes and jets or whatever. So definitely play the tutorial. I even have a link in the description with a guy who made a video about how to steer a plane and good maneuvers you can use on the battlefield or the aerial field or whatever. So definitely check that out if you consider playing this game. As to the tutorials themselves, they're pretty dull. You know, like every other tutorial. At least every tutorial is pretty much like 5 minutes tops. So you won't be spending your entire day trying to learn how to play this game before you actually go to the battlefield for the first time. But you definitely won't enjoy this game if you haven't played the tutorial and you just enter public battles, because you will just get killed by people who actually know how to play the game. So yeah, that's a thing. Play the tutorial, okay? Moving along, something obvious, the graphics are just beautiful. Like, I would pay for a game with graphics as beautiful as this, or just a game as good as this in general. I'm playing this on Ultra with my GTX 580 and I'm rocking 60 frames per second solid. I know this map is not the best to show off the beautiful graphics of this game, and for that I apologize, but I just had such a good game that I just wanted to share it in this video. The thing is, weather changes in this game, not as you play, but for instance in this map it's raining right now. All the other times I've played on this map it hasn't been raining. There has been sunshine. I've also been playing on some maps during nighttime, and that's so beautiful. I'll show you some gameplay of that sometime. Just subscribe to my channel and just stay in tune, because I will be playing this game a lot. It's so much fun. I've never had fun with aerial battles in games before, so I'm stoked. The only critique I do have about the graphics, and this is very minuscule, this will not affect your gameplay at all, but I just noticed out of everything that just looks so beautiful that the foliage, the trees and bushes and such, they're not really the greatest. But do they really need to be, is what I'm asking, because it's not really what you're looking at all the time, and if you're close to trees and bushes a lot, you're probably gonna have to adjust your playstyle, because that's not how the game is supposed to be played. Oh yeah, and another tiny thing, I don't really know what color bullets look like in real life, but whenever I shoot bullets in this game, they look kind of green. It looks kind of laser-ish to me. I don't know, this is, very minuscule, but maybe they should be a little more of a yellow color. But enough about that, let's move on and talk about the combat, the gameplay itself. Okay, so in this game there are two kind of planes you can fly, two types. The first being the fighter, which you see me play in this gameplay, and then you can also be a bomber. So let's talk about the fighters. All the planes you start with are fighters. They are pretty much just shooting frozen peas, and from what I can judge, I think a tin can is better suited for war than the beginner planes. However, the fighters are a very versatile class. They can reach very high speeds very fast and do dives, and they're just very maneuverable. And the fighter is definitely the class for the dogfight nut. If you just want dogfights all the time and you don't really care about the objectives of the game, go fighter. A lot of people do that. The fighters are focused on damage per second and the ability to evade. This is the most popular type of plane, and you will generally see a 70% concentrations of planes of this type on servers. Now, one thing you have to remember when choosing to fly with the fighter class is that Sometimes you'll enter battle and you'll just take 3 hits, even with better planes, such as the one that I'm flying. It's not a beginner plane. Sometimes you'll just die extremely fast, and that's due to your low armor. So it'll knock you out a lot of times in the beginning, but as you get better and you get better planes, it won't be such a big issue. But you really have to be careful. You don't have a lot of health. You will generally die faster as a fighter than as a bomber, but you will generally get more kills as a fighter. So that's a thing to keep in mind. Now on to the bombers. Now, as I mentioned before, you start off with 3 fighters, but you actually don't start off with a bomber. You'll have to unlock that, and that's something you'll have to learn on your own. It's not difficult. But once you unlock it, you can buy it and add it to your hangar. And basically what I have to recommend is that you don't use like the 2 or 3 first bombers that you'll unlock, simply because they will only have about 1 to 3 bombs and they will not be doing a lot of damage, and your rear gunner will not be good at all, so keep that in mind. Start bombing with the better bomb ships. Okay, so these guys' strength lie in their big buff armor. That is their #1 strength, I believe. I cannot tell you how many times I've emptied magazine out of magazine where the bomber just didn't die. So they're very buff. Also, if you get too close to a bomber, they can actually change their view to manage a rear gunner. The rear gunner will activate automatically and shoot you not 100% accurately, not very accurately at all, but it will automatically start firing once an enemy is within a certain range, to sort of warn you that someone's there, so you can take over the view and execute the enemy more professionally than the AI could. As a bomber, your main objective is to stay high. Don't dive too much unless you have to go for the kill or the drop of the bomb. But your general mission is to kill ground targets and try to stay out of the way of fighters, and stay close to allied fighters so they can aid you if you're attacked. Bombers actually generally travel faster than fighters, but don't be mistaken, although they travel faster, they have a way harder time accelerating and also maneuverability. They have 0 to no maneuverability, so you have to watch out for that. You can't just go guns blazing with a bomber. I would say that the bomber is generally for more tactical people, people who like to think about what they actually do in their games. But of course you can also be a tactical fighter, a dogfighter, that's for sure. They get most of the kills, so they also have the most influence on battle mostly. But ground targets are also important, so a good bomber or 4 would be a good thing to have on your team. The general population of bombers on servers are very low. I would say 0 to 30% tops. You don't really see any more bombers than that. Now, you might not be able to accumulate quite the number of points as a bomber as you would be able to with a fighter, but you are actually able to turn the tides of a game even more than the fighters do, because as you see in my bottom left corner right now, we only have 1 jeep left. When that's destroyed, we lose the game. They have 3 left, and the planes that generally kill ground vehicles are, as mentioned, the bombers. So they actually control a lot of how the game goes in a lot of the game modes. So they are very important. But I would definitely say that the fighter is a more fun class to play. Okay, moving on. Now the UI in this game is very simple. In the top left corner you can see your throttle, your speed, and your altitude, and that's about the only 3 numbers you really need. On your left, your upper right, sorry, you can see your minimap, and then you can see some kill feed, and you can see how many ground vehicles you have in the bottom left. Up in the middle, in the beginning of the match, you could see like a big blue bar and a big red bar. That's the control. like who has control of most bases, who has the most points, and who have killed the most ground vehicles. Now, one thing that did bother me a little, and also that I found enjoyable somehow, was that you cannot see how much ammo you have. At least for the fighters, you can always see how many bombs you have for the bombers, but and missiles too, but you can't see how many machine gun rounds you have in your fighters, which is quite a big deal because sometimes you'll start chasing a guy and you might only have 8 rounds left, and then you're gonna have to reload for 20 seconds, and in that time he'll do a turn and he'll kill you. So I don't know if it'll be added, but also I like, having to remember, and really getting to learn and getting to know your plane. How much ammo does my plane have? How much can I shoot before I actually run out? I like that aspect, but it's a little bothersome sometimes. So a win-lose kind of thing. I don't know. It's good and it's bad. I enjoy it, and I would like to see change. I don't know. The research tree where you unlock new planes is also a very simple deal, as so with all the other menus in this game. It is really easy to navigate your way around, so I'm not gonna be spending too much time talking about that. Now on to the music and audio of this game. The music in this game, the scores or the tracks themselves or whatever you want to call them, they're not really songs, but it's what you have come to expect of war games. It's just that, get in the mood, a lot of drums and trumpets, but the sound effects of this game, like the bombs dropping and the anti-air flak sound you'll hear, and the machine gun on the Spitfire especially, are just absolutely beautiful. The sound effects of this game, they're good. They're very good. When you're in a good plane, you feel like you're just, hammering nails through the guy in front of you. When you're in a bad plane, you feel like you're shooting peas. So, yeah, that's the deal. So a final verdict. I really enjoy playing this game and I will keep playing this game. I find very few things about this game that needs fixing. The steering needs a little fixing, but that's about the biggest issue of the game right now, and as of now it's not game breaking. I would recommend, or even say that it's necessary, that you download this game because it is a free to play game, and for what you get, it's absolutely amazing that you don't have to pay. This is one of the best free to play games I've ever seen, but I would recommend that you invite a friend to play with, because when you play alone, especially in the beginning, you'll face being shot down time after time after time without even hitting an enemy. So team up with a friend or two and go there and dominate the battlefield. It's a really immersive game, and you just want to fight battle after battle after battle. Even I felt like that when I was playing alone, but I just had, twice or even quadruple the fun when I played with a friend, Dilato. I played with him. We might have some videos of this game coming up soon. But this game will definitely have hours after hours worth of gameplay, and entertaining gameplay at that, filled with the most beautiful battles and just adrenaline pumping events. It's really an awesome game, and I absolutely love it, having only played it for 2 days now. But that was my review of the game War Thunder. I hope you liked the video. My name is Auriga. See ya.